What is happening? J Gamer Dude here, and I want to ask you guys a question. Do you guys know what a quadruple A game is? Because we usually give the idea that like a triple A game is a game that costs a hell of a lot of money to make, like a lot of money, and so when that amount of money increases, so does the time that is needed to ultimately make a game that has a lot of funding behind it, and sometimes that funding doesn't even become worth the hassle if it doesn't sell enough copies, especially with how the Insomniac rumors went, where in order to actually break even on Spider-Man 2 with the money that was spent in order to recoup the cost, it would have had to sell 6 million copies, which looking at like a Nintendo game, that's absolutely nothing. But for every other type of game that exists in the world that isn't made by Nintendo, that is very difficult to, not even very difficult, it's much harder to reach, so it is much more difficult, especially even as like a Sony first party. Like that is probably the next most likely to kind of hit those numbers, and hell, I would be surprised if Xbox exclusives did really even reach that point all that much. But I digress. So the reason why I bring up the idea of a quadruple A game is because for some reason, for some boneheaded reason, pun intended, the CEO of Ubisoft, Yves Guillemot, said that Skull and Bones is a quadruple A game. Now, I don't know what makes a quadruple A game. Is it the amount of money that's put into it? Again, as I said earlier, that's kind of the label that was given to like the highly processed game that was made with way too much money and way too much time, that we would kind of call a triple A game. Because if so, I kind of get it, only in the sense that this game took so long to make, was such a money sink, that I'm surprised Ubisoft is still around as a company. This game has been in development for the past 10 years. This game was supposed to go, like, it was a project that was fueled with the intention of trying to recreate, to some extent, Assassin's Creed 4. I'm pretty sure Assassin's Creed 4 came out in 2013, because I know that was after Assassin's Creed 3, which was 2012. And Assassin's Creed was an annualized franchise as well, before we forget. So I think the numbers do kind of add up, because 2014 we then got Rogue. We got two Assassin's Creed games in 1 year. We got Rogue and Unity. So Rogue for PS3 and 360, and Unity for PS4 and Xbox One, though eventually Rogue Remastered did come out later on the Xbox One and PS4, but I digress. So as the title of this article here says, by Anne-Marie Osler, beta players are saying that it's not worth the $70 to actually pay for the game. And I mean, had this game come out before the, whole $70 trend became a thing across games in this particular generation, this game would have actually cost $60 had it been, actually made with some proper, management behind it. Because there have been a lot of staff exits, a lot of staff entering, a lot of changes to the initial promise that was given to the game, and even then there wasn't really much in the way of anything really compelling. And when people thought about Skull and Bones, it's funny. Actually, have I even said Skull and Bones throughout the entire video of me recording it so far? Until now, I'm actually kind of surprised. But yeah, it really... Skull and Bones was originally supposed to be like the pirate part of Assassin's Creed 4, except expanded out into its own thing. And now we realize that very much is not going to be the case, because you are not playing as the captain of a ship, you are instead the ship. and I doubt you'd be able to, jump off of the ship, go board other ships through swashbuckling action by, using your sword and things like that, or jumping, dropping at a harbor, looking around the place and finding stuff like sea shanties, which was a lot of fun. And again, Assassin's Creed 4, which again is uncontroversially considered one of the best ones, if not the best one. So, but I think with as much time has passed, accidentally hit the mic there, but yeah, with as much time that has passed, I feel like now people have moved away from that type of Assassin's Creed game in favor of the RPG type of Assassin's Creed games that we're getting with Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. Even though those seem to be far more bloated amount of time commitment that I feel like isn't really worth it, but again, depends on who you ask. But yeah, so apparently some people have said that there's absolutely no way they'll pay $70 for the game, and the idea of Quadruple A, kind of going back to kind of the original thing that I was wanting to talk about, is that is a term that should not exist. Because at this point, quite a lot of people who look at games that have had a lot of microtransactions thrown in there and are usually, sucking up a lot more of your money, especially from the early 2010s with EA and Ubisoft, of course. Triple A was always considered to be more of a negative term, and so I don't know if Ubisoft is trying to use the term Quadruple A to escape the negative stigmatization of a Triple A, but the pool of Quadruple A has already been poisoned, not just by Ubisoft CEO saying that Skull and Bones is a Quadruple A game, but also the fact that apparently Microsoft was making a Quadruple A game with the Initiative, which then later turned out to be Perfect Dark reboot. Don't know what the heck they're doing with that game, because again, not much in the way of news was really announced. We just knew that Perfect Dark was happening, and that was really about the size of it. So ultimately at the end, there isn't any real Quadruple A games that people could say, and I mean the closest thing to it, from what I can say, is probably Baldur's Gate 3, and even then, that game only charged $60, not 70. So I really do struggle to see how creating the label Quadruple A, especially I think since Microsoft was the one that popularized it in relation to the Perfect Dark reboot or whatever the heck they're going on with that. Again, very little news or information has been provided about it. That it's being used by more places, companies, and all the rest of it does not deserve, this term does not deserve to exist, and the fact that it does kind of at least shows us that that's probably some of the games that we should avoid if anyone calls themselves a Quadruple A game. Hell, Sega kind of had a tad bit more originality and they were going to make the Super game, which then turned out to be multiple games, and I think maybe to some extent related to all of these classic franchise reboots that they're doing, which I'm very excited for. Can't say just how happy I am that we're going to be getting that anyways. But I just thought, what, this is kind of a really dumb thing for someone to say, and especially by Yves Guillemot, who is the Ubisoft CEO. So of course a really, really dumb thing to say, but just interesting nonetheless to kind of take a note at how often the term Quadruple A has been kind of used so far, especially in relation to execs of companies and things like that. Again, Super game was probably a better marketing strategy than goddamn Quadruple A, but I digress. Let me know what you guys think about Quadruple A games in the comments below. Anything about Skull and Bones if you played it, because I personally have not, and have probably no interest in playing it unless it goes on a very, very deep discount, which, by the way, this game, online only as well. Another reason to completely duck it, but I digress. let me know what you guys think about all that, and also maybe even just talk about any more information about Perfect Dark and what makes that a quadruple A game. But yeah, let me know all of that in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to aim for 200 subs by the end of the year. And I do want my videos to go to more people, because then we can get more of a conversation going in the comments below. But with all of that said and done, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.